Nebraska Preps postgame with Damon Benning and Jacob Padilla.
That's the big voice guy. That means it's another week of Nebraska Preps postgame with my man JP. This one's a little different. We're kind of just going to shoot the breeze here a little bit. Usually we're either recapping, basketball or football, or we're talking about things that have actually happened. This one's a little bit different because we're going to forecast and provide some insight and talk about what we think may happen. Man, JP, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. It's a little gloomy outside, but other than that, pretty good day.
Yeah, that's it? How you been otherwise?
Things have slowed down a little bit. Got to get back in the gym, start coaching again this week, so always improves the mood.
All right, so wait a minute. Was that last week you tweeted out the picture of the gym? You made it seem like you were actually getting shots up, though. You weren't coaching. Or you finally had some free time to play a couple of games?
Yeah.
Can you still shoot?
About as well as I ever could. We'll go with that.
Really? Okay. That might be a little humility.
It comes and goes.
Yeah? Your brother's still giving it to you?
Haven't played one-on-one for a while. We missed out on our kind of annual Christmas. Just wasn't able to make it happen this year. Usually get in there and play on Christmas Eve, but we'll get back at it at some point here.
Wow. He's just not afraid.
Need him to scrimmage with our guys now. He can focus on those young guys.
Hey, so which do you like better, coaching or playing?
Depends.
See, that's kind of how I am too. If I only had to do it like once or twice and demo a drill, yeah. Or like they're like, "Oh, Coach B, you should put on pads." I could do it once, and it'd probably be fun. But anything more than that, I'm rolling the dice.
Yeah. Fortunately, I get to play quite a bit usually, pending my schedule getting in the way. Got a few different groups that I can play with, so stay active as much as I can. But coaching, it's definitely really enjoy it, and nothing quite like kind of in the final moments of a big win when you guys realize what you've just pulled off. Had a few of those last summer. So,
hey, this snuck up on us early, right? State championships, which just 10 days ago, and here we are. Heck, we leave this weekend, and by we I mean ETG. We are headed to Fayetteville. Are you surprised that the summer schedule is like? We're talking the end of March.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to gather rosters from different places, trying to figure out who's playing where. And then I saw that the schedule for ETG, which stands everything to gain. It's the kind of the new branding of the top teams at OSA. Kind of split those off into their own little group. So that's that team and those guys, like you said, heading down for a kind of warm-up tournament this weekend. Had a handful of practices now and going to go see what they can do.
Yeah, it's been really, really busy. I kind of like I like the field. The Celtics are down there. The Arkansas Twisters are there. It seems like some good programs now. It's pretty fluid, and we'll see what happens with who's on what roster. But, I mean, on the cut, just looking at the rosters on Northern Exposure, the teams in the bracket, it looks to be like it's going to be pretty competitive.
Yeah, well, I think buddy Mike Sauter's going down there, so I told him I'm just going to have to periscope the whole thing for me so I can follow along because I'm not making the trip down there.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. But, everybody was talking to me. I guess I didn't realize it was only a 6-hour drive. And people say it's pretty easy, right? That's why the whole Arkansas thing with the CWS and Nebraska getting down there for regionals, it's a fairly quick, easy drive. I did not think 6 hours when I pulled it up a couple of weeks ago, but I mean, I would do it. Yeah. I am going to do it. So, and if it wasn't in the morning, I should have got, because we'll leave Omaha probably around 8:45, 9. But I'm going to split the show because I don't want to. I like my job. So I was going to leave at 8, and I was like, shoot, man. I said we could grab Jacob and I was like, wait a minute, Jacob's not going to be up. It'd be close. And Sauter's going to be gone, so I don't know. Toss up. Sharpie's used to going alone.
Yeah, he's done that for a while. So
we're bringing our guy Robbie. He'll stir the pot a little bit. And
got some good options there for sure.
Catch up on the NCAA. So we're just taking a look at rosters, kind of the schedule, how you kind of foresee whether it's recruit look. There's so many new things on the horizon. Obviously, you mentioned ETG with everything to gain. As the Crusaders or OSA is kind of on a one-year hiatus.
Yeah. And we'll kind of next week, I think we can dive full into the summer preview as we kind of get all these figured out more.
The rosters kind of finalized.
Yeah. But just kind of touching on some things like, so they'll be playing on the Adidas Gold this year, which is where what was formerly the National One teams. Now they're calling them the Adidas Gold teams because that's where they're going to be playing. They kind of made their way onto that circuit mid-season last summer. And they're going to keep playing on that way. So they'll have both those playing on that. Obviously, you guys will try to get in some big tournaments, earn your way in some places to kind of beef up the schedule as well. But our plan is to be back on the 3SSB the next summer. And then you'll have the OSA kind of off on their own. I'm coaching, so now Elite 1 is what they're calling it now, which was National 2 last summer. So we're going to play a pretty good schedule. They started a new league, the Midwest Champion Circuit, which is kind of replacing the Sanford Pentagon League that we dropped out of last summer. It's a deal with OSA, the Arena, and some other area programs kind of collaborated to field this new circuit. So that'll take up 3 weeks of our schedule. So I'm looking forward to getting to work. I think just looking around, I think the rosters are pretty solid here for the Golden elite teams. I think Supreme's always going to be deep in talent. We'll be getting those Lincoln Supreme teams here probably this week. So I get to kind of break that down a little bit more. But and we'll see kind of what some of the other obviously you've got the Hoffmans and the Factories and some of these other ones at Powerhouse. You got some other teams that have a chance to field some good rosters too that'll be following.
Are you surprised? Like if you're right, you're JP and you're coaching, right? So you got to kind of remove yourself from this, and youth are coming to you and they're looking at how the summer circuit works. And sometimes it is dependent on talent level, but let's assume every kid thinks that colleges are going to be looking at them, whether it's D2, D3, NAIA, Division I, whatever. How are you telling kids to look at how to utilize the summer?
Yeah, like you said, a large part of it does depend on the talent level and what your ultimate goals are. But for the most part, like there aren't going to be D1 kids running around all over the place. A lot of it top out D2 and NAIA.
Yeah.
D3, kind of in that same mold as NAIA. But so the important thing, I think, for them is we've got some of the best small college basketball in the country in this region. The GPAC is one of the best NAIA leagues. You've got the MIA in basketball in this kind of region as well. So ultimately, you need to play in some tournaments that are going to be competitive that you'll have those area coaches at. And that's, I think, obviously some kids are looking for opportunities to get away, and you'll see kind of some of those random kids that get offers to go play across the country. And if that's ultimately what you want to, that's credit to you. Go take advantage of those opportunities. But I think first and foremost, play River Cities. Every coach in the surrounding 500-mile radius, whatever. Like all the GPAC coaches, all the D2 coaches, they're all going to be there at River Cities, and they are every year. So I think that's kind of the most important. Go somewhere where you've got programs going to develop you and give you a chance to kind of play your game and show what you're capable of.
Do you like
be comfortable with?
You like how the live periods are kind of getting back to like when those are going to hit from a timing standpoint for the tournaments?
Yeah, because the last couple of years have been
a little wonky.
Yeah, it's been tough, and credit to organizations and coaches and everybody that tried to navigate the extended dead period where coaches weren't able to get in the gyms. In terms of D1 coaches, NAIA coaches can still kind of do whatever they wanted to do, but now it is good for kids to know, like, okay, these are the big weeks. Going to be a lot of coaches at these tournaments. Got to be ready for this week. Get to travel a little bit. Again, obviously, the last couple of years, you've kind of been, depending on the teams, have been a little bit more conservative, maybe not travel as much. I think on my schedule right now, we've got a tournament in Chicago at the end of the summer, which is farther. It's a little bit different than what we've done recently. A lot of Kansas City, Sioux Falls, and that type of stuff. So it'll be good. More opportunities for kids to go out and play, experience different places, and play in these big tournaments.
So let's talk kind of movers and shakers. There's obviously a couple of rosters of some of the bigger names that we've talked about on the show, kind of changing addresses. The Jake Bracks, the Tate Oddbodies, Will Coopers. There's a lot of guys kind of on the move. Where do you want to start? 15, 16, 17s?
Probably start at the top.
Well, that means 17s, which is going to be kind of an interesting year, right? Because the 2023s haven't garnered a ton of attention.
Yeah. Right now, you've got Josiah Dotzler with multiple offers, and at this point, he's the only one with multiple offers in the class. You got Drake and Liberty there, and Josiah is going to go play down for Mocan this summer. And that's, I mean, with losing out on the opportunity to play full-time at the shoe circuit, that's kind of not a surprise that kids are going to be looking for other opportunities. And I think they'll still be a solid squad, but it's more credit to them. Again, you got to ultimately judge what's important for you to get out of the summer, especially the 17U summer. This is your last real chance to play summer basketball. So you got to determine, all right, what's important to you, and then make decisions based off that.
So, like, let's say if you're a guy like David Harmon, and you've got, I think Wayne just came in with an offer after his impressive performance after the state tournament. Do you think you roll the dice, or do you commit? Do you say yes, and then you go play college basketball?
That's the question that he's facing right now, and we'll see. At the very least, can go play in this spring and should still have some opportunities there to make a decision. But the ETG team's got two guys that are seniors, and David Harmon and Jamison Gruber from Council Bluffs Abraham Lincoln set to play and kind of see what opportunities they may be able to gain this year. And David is a guy that he had a really good summer last year on one of the OSA national teams. So playing a little bit lower level circuit, you're wondering, okay, this kid's interesting. Let's see what he's going to do in this high school season. And then he carried that right into the season. Obviously, state champion, 26 points in the championship game. I think certainly turned some heads. Obviously, some areas in his game that still need to work on in terms of long term and depending on what level he's hoping to reach. But I think with a good spring, he definitely could. Again, I think the Wayne State is kind of the start of it because he had NAIA offers previously throughout the past year. So that's kind of the first Division II, and we'll see kind of where that leads.
So you're talking about we were talking about some of the 2023s with Dotzler and that's Milliken and Oddbody and Jake Brack
and Connor Milliken is kind of the one main guy from that OSA 16s team that stuck out with ETG. Obviously, you mentioned Jake Brack and Tate Oddbody. They both, Brendan Clemens also went over to Supreme play on the UAA circuit this summer.
So you're looking at that roster for Supreme. That's a lot of long, bigger bodies. Chase is going to have a chore kind of being, as you look at it, the primary ball handler?
Yeah, they've got a few. You look at those Supreme rosters, they've got a few Iowa kids kind of throughout the rosters. And Chase Anderson is a kid from Des Moines Hoover coming over. Kevian Hayes is Sioux City West. I saw him play with the Showtime Hoopers last summer, and kid's a bucket. Like he was really, really good. So they've got a couple Iowa guards coming over to kind of supplement that roster. And then Rylan Smith running the point there also coming over from OSA last year. Hopefully he can have a healthy summer and kind of get back on track, because last year was a struggle for him. He never got a chance to showcase what he was capable of. And they added Skyland Williams, who is the younger brother of Jalen Courtney Williams, the Creighton assistant. His family moved up here kind of mid-year, and he played JV at Millard North as kind of a move-in, but he'll have a chance to play a big role for them next year. And my guy Carter Templemeyer from Lincoln East, he more than earned this opportunity to go up and play on a top level. And I'm excited to see, hopefully, that he can kind of turn some heads for that team as well.
So, like the freedom of movement and guys kind of looking at teams, how important do you feel like it is in the summer for folks to look at fit and style of play versus sometimes you can kind of just fall in love with trying to procure talent?
And that's a huge part of it. And that's, like I was talking earlier, you got to go somewhere where you're comfortable, that you're going to get a chance to showcase what you want to showcase. And that doesn't always mean like just ball in your hands, you do everything. Like you need to be part of a team. But you want to go somewhere where you do have an opportunity to showcase what you're good at and to play the kind of style that will allow you to do that. So that's, again, we got some pretty good coaches, I think, for some of these teams, especially some of these high-level teams. And so I think that is an important thing. Like, obviously, the level of play is something that everybody looks at. Oh, shoe circuit. But ultimately, especially you look at kind of the back end of those teams, like the 10th man on the shoe circuit team versus the first option on the team right below that. That's something that I think a lot of kids could consider as well. Have more of a chance to showcase what you can do when you're not battling with other high-level guys for touches. So there's a lot of things I think that you consider going into when you make those decisions. But ultimately, you have to have a team that fits together, or those kids won't be able to showcase what they do best.
When you're so the schedules and kind of how they're falling out, kind of how they're shaking out. And I know we're kind of waiting to hear from Coach Reeder a little bit on what that schedule is going to be for some of those guys in the summer and new circuits. How weary would you be, or what would you advise in terms of where to play? ETG is trying to play their way in to some of the showcases. Obviously, Supreme is playing with Under Armour. When you're taking a look at trying to give something a name, how much do you look at new developments and new circuits?
Yeah, I know, like we were talking about Supreme, they're going to be playing on the NXT Pro, which is a new league. I mentioned the one that the OSA elite teams are going to be playing on is new as well. Ultimately, as long as those events, like you trust the people running them, they're run well, you can get some coaches in those gyms, then that's ultimately what matters. Just as long as you kind of trust the person running, that it'll be a good experience. And that's ultimately what you're looking for. A good experience, have everything run well, have a chance to go play some good teams, and kind of let everything fall out after that. So it is a lot on the relationship and the judgment of the people running these organizations to evaluate, all right, is this going to be good for us? Because I talked about the Sanford Pentagon. OSA was in that league for a long time, and they had some good runs. Like there were some good teams in that league, but the last couple of years, both the tournament series and the basketball league, kind of they had the two levels for the top teams and then the national teams right below it. And the talent level, just the competition level, fell off last year. And that between the competition level and some of the kind of restrictions and some of the in Minneapolis last year, that's what ultimately led to OSA deciding, all right, we're going to drop out. This isn't what it used to be. We're not going to keep going with this league. We want better competition. We want better opportunities for our kids. So that's what led to them dropping out last year and now looking into this new league. So that's ultimately, again, you're trying, as an organization, you're trying to create the best opportunity for the kids that choose to play for you. And I think that's the goal for everybody that's involved in this.
All right, so let's go back to kind of some of the rosters that we were looking at with the 17s. What kind of jumps out at you as kind of some interesting combinations in rosters?
Yeah, on the ETG 17s for sure. The guy I'm most interested to see is Malachi Washington from Boys Town. Yeah. And dude averaged 18 and 14 this year for the Cowboys. and I still haven't really gotten a chance to see him play. I've seen the numbers that he's put up the last couple of years, like, oh, interesting, 6'6" or so. Obviously, monster double guy. I kind of want to see what he looks like, and I'm glad that they were able to work it out for him to get this opportunity, especially because they need it. They're a little short on some of their other size kind of that they thought they'd have fell through. And so he's going to have a huge role on that team and a lot of responsibility. Everybody else on that team, I think I've seen quite a bit for the most part. You've got Jackson Stuvey and Trey Mosman and Maljal sticking around from last year. You got J.J. Farron and Paxton Piatkowski joining it. And then we mentioned Milliken, Harmon, and Gruber as kind of the backcourt there. So that's kind of what that 17s is going to look like right now. And Washington, and I'm looking forward to seeing kind of Milliken and what he looks like now. Obviously, last year you had Dotzler and Milliken and Smith and Oddbody and all these guys that arguably, like, and I mean, I think Brack kind of rose into that mix during the season. Yeah. He wasn't necessarily that guy last summer just yet, but you probably had 4 or 5 of the best kids in that whole class just on that one team. So we'll see how it works out. Obviously, we know Harmon's good, and Gruber's a guy that is certainly aggressive offensively. So we'll see how kind of the ball handling, the shot distribution opportunities shake out. But I'm kind of interested to see what Milliken looks like as that number one option versus 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, kind of like they had last year.
When you're so let's jump over to the Supreme, because we talk to those guys all the time, and they're playing on another circuit, obviously with UA. What are you seeing there that's kind of interesting to you?
Sorry about that. I just saw some news from your partner, Gary Sharp.
Oh, yeah. He's upset the Dolphins have made a move for Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, that happened, but also Jalen Hunter from Old Dominion, Max Polk, walked on at was it Fort Wayne this year? Yeah. And Chase Thompson was at SEMO, all in the portal. So some former Omaha products kind of looking for new homes right now. I know Jalen, I think, had a pretty good year for Old Dominion. Stepping into a big role this year. But anyway, so what was the question again?
The rosters. We hopped over to Supreme.
Yeah, and so they actually, Antela San Linnell from Lincoln North Star is the only guy back on that team from last year that played on that Supreme 16s last summer. And Porter Basil is joining as well, who played out in Arizona last summer. So I think that kind of covers everybody who talked about there. We'll see kind of how all these pieces, all these guys that obviously Rylan, Tate, and Jacob played together, but nobody else on that team has really played together before this. So they've got, besides Brennan and Antela, obviously.
Are we going to get a healthy Brennan Clemens, I think, is kind of the thing.
That's the question, too, because, again, he struggled to stay on the court last summer, and then even high school season was in a boot to close out the regular season, unfortunately. So when he's healthy, he's been capable double-double type of guy. He played a big role defensively for that OSA team last summer, allowed them to match up with some of the bigger teams. But, yeah, we'll see kind of hopefully for his sake, because his last chance at playing a full AAU summer.
Let's jump down to the 16s. Really good years, 2024. A lot of people talk about it. And it's a little more spread out now. It's diversified a little bit.
Yeah, and obviously that's for the ETG. That's the team that your son Caleb's playing for, and they brought back most of their team from last year. Unfortunately, Ricky Lofton from Omaha South
got the knee injury.
Yeah, suffered in district play, right?
Yeah.
Just right at the end of the high school season, a knee injury. So that's going to knock him out, unfortunately. Hoping for a speedy and good recovery there for him. But you brought most of your guys back, and you added Isaiah McMorris and Elijah Geth from Millard North as kind of depth there. And then Caleb Steele, who's a homeschooled kid, is adding a little bit more size there, because he did lose Will Cooper, who is going to play for Supreme. He played factory previously in middle school,
back,
and then came to OSA to play with you guys last summer, and now with Supreme playing on the UAA circuit, and some of the size, I think, probably played a factor there too. I don't know that he wants to battle with the big guys in the middle.
I'm curious though. Like I keep hearing that. I just wonder, like, how that's going to change.
Well, flip over to Supreme. They've got Jacob Rope, obviously, is sticking with that team. And then they added a big guy, 6'6", big body, strong guy from Des Moines East, and Tyron Wright. So you get a little bit more size in the middle there for Supreme. They certainly mine the surrounding areas to add some pieces. And Treveri Cavill from Des Moines Lincoln, Jaden Renfro from down in Kansas City area, and to go with Wright. So you got 3 kids from out of state on that team. They added Marcus Glock also, who came over from OSA.
Yep.
And then beyond that, it's they stuck with Eldon Turner, Lena Prokowski.
Who I like.
Yeah, should be a good backcourt. Jake Hilkeman and Bon Boom, who were on that team last year as well. So that's kind of what the Supreme 16s are looking like. So you got a mix of some really good local talent and then infused with some from surrounding states as well.
And then another good group, 2025s have got some guys that are definitely on or will be on the radars. Not as paramount a summer year, but, man, is it a good chance to get off to a good start.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see. This is kind of our first look at these guys at this level. And with Supreme, they've actually got a 2026 player playing up, Corian Gallatin from Fremont. Real shifty point guard.
Yeah, can handle it.
Yeah, so he'll have a lot of ball handling responsibilities on the team because you look at that roster and they got a lot of size, a lot of length on that team. And they also, Creighton Bracker from Abraham Lincoln, and Nitish Sankaranti from Waukee Northwest. Added a couple kids from out of state, and then after that, the rest is all Nebraska. And you've got Chuck Love and Braden Frager from Lincoln Southwest, both about 6'5", long, athletic. Obviously, Chuck can shoot. Braden can really get downhill. Robbie Garcia adding size in the middle. We saw him play a good role for Bellevue West
early.
Yeah. Derek Rollins got a varsity jersey at Millard North, kind of second half of the season. Ben Johnson played varsity ball for Kearney this summer, kind of played a key role for that team. Bryson Ball can shoot the ball, and then Taven Murphy played some varsity as well for Omaha South. So that's kind of what the Supreme roster is looking like. And for the ETG,
this is a good group.
And you kind
of
get
smaller, but they're starting to add some length now.
Yeah,
especially if Scholl stays.
Yeah, and you kind of add the kind of combine the T&E and OSA from last year. You got a few guys from each of those teams, which is something that we kind of typically stand to see. You got B.J. Bradford, Trey Griggs, Reese Kircher as kind of the ball handlers there. Bradford, Southeast, really shifty. I believe he played a big role for Southeast
He's
this year.
He's absolutely fearless. Coming off a good Saturday scrimmage the other day. He's he is very, very competitive.
And very quick.
Yeah.
Kircher for Papio South, we saw
Smart.
started this year for them.
Tremendous ball handler.
And
highly skilled with handling the basketball.
And can shoot as well. And Trey Griggs, the younger brother or I guess the next one in the Griggs family.
Yeah, and crafty too. He gives them some toughness. He's got a little dog in him. Had a couple of really nice moves, handling the ball, playing with some poise. I like their backcourt quite a bit.
Yeah, Kavion Reynolds, long guard from Lincoln Southwest, and then Sam Sourdike, who started to put up almost 20 a game at Thayer Central this year. Just physical.
Big, strong kid, plays hard.
Bull in a china shop kind of kid that's just going to go hard. So that's kind of the T&E guys. And then you've got Tyson Oddbody, Tate's younger brother, who played JV at Westside this year. Yeah. Big, strong kid. He's really improved his skill level.
Starting to really come into his own in terms of handling the basketball, his deft and touch around the rim. He's been good.
Yeah, over the last year, I think he's really made a big leap. And you've got Carson Healy, another Westside JV kid, played as a freshman.
Coming out of the boot.
And Will Farrington is a shooter for Elkhorn North. And then you mentioned Brock Scholl, kind of adding size in the middle from Omaha Scott, younger brother Mitch Scholl, who unfortunately had to miss the season because of an injury. So I think that's kind of working our way through the ETG and the Supreme rosters. It's worth mentioning we'll see some significant coaching movement in the high school ranks.
That is going to be really, really interesting. I know a couple of guys will probably assume roles that were already on the bench, and I get it, but
yes, Adam Brill is stepping in for Brian Spichka at Lincoln Pius at 10th. We know that already. You have to think at Miller North with Tim Cannon finally announcing the news, not unexpected.
Maybe Coachettes?
Hard to go off, yeah. Hard to go out better than back-to-back state championships, but Mike Esselmoder's been there for a long time and has done a really good job as the lead assistant there.
Good person, too.
Padilla Vista, Omaha Central, Elkhorn South, Lincoln North Star, Norfolk, Waverly, and plus the Westview, like you've got the new ones that are.
And potentially what happens with, Coach Stoffel, who's only going to coach one more year before he assumes full-time admin duties.
We're still waiting for Bruce Chubbuck Sr. and his decision. I think he'll kind of decide here a little bit later in the offseason. I think everybody expects him to call it a career, but with him, you never quite know if that itch hits him again in a month or two, and he's like, let's go one more year if he's feeling good physically. But if that change happens, I think we'd probably see Bruce Chubbuck Jr. They've got another option there that could step in as well. Yeah. But it's going to be interesting to see who fills these open jobs, because not only you're going to have some coaches applying for some other jobs, which creates some other openings and have potentially some outside the state interest. You've got lead assistants that are ready to step up. So once all those kind of get sorted out, we'll definitely hit on those again. But I think next week we'll be pretty heavy on the summer ball again.
Yeah, we'll preview it. We'll have it all for you. See if we can even break some news, too, if we get a few little, whispers out there that we can pass along with you. Another great week, Nebraska Preps Posts game. That's my man, Jacob Padilla. I'm ODB. We'll be back next week.
A Hurrdat Media Production.